Another day, another day. Today is a day you've never seen, I've never seen, we've never seen before. And it's a day we'll never see again. What are y'all gonna do differently? Let's hop into it, family. Let's send this live out to 5 people if you guys are just streaming in. We're gonna go live 2 times today. We're gonna be going live later on this evening, as well as right now. Right now I'm gonna read from and really breaking down the Wizard of Oz, really breaking down the Matrix to you guys, in terms of commerce and how a lot of this stuff is right in front of our face, but we're so ignorant to the fact that it's in front of our face in these movies that we tend to realize they're telling us things and what they truly are. So I'm gonna break down the Wizard of Oz, and how our social security number and everything is described completely, how this fictitious being that is the all caps name, acting in suitorship of you, the natural person, was created. They break it down beautifully in the Wizard of Oz. So I'm gonna read from a book. I also just dropped it in our public Discord. So if you guys are not in our public Discord, make sure you guys click the link in the bio at billionairesclub.com/all, and then go join our Telegram and our Discord. And I'm gonna drop that book in there so everybody can have this book to go ahead and read through the whole book. But I'm gonna go ahead and read little bits and pieces today, and then later on tonight I'm gonna go live for all of my Canadians. I got a lot of people from my YouTube channel that have been from Canada and were asking about certain things and tips and tricks with credit in Canada. So I'm about to go live tonight in regards to that. So I'll post a preview and everything for you guys, so you all know what time and can stream up on in here. Today specifically, like I said, I'm gonna read from this book. I dropped this book. The name of it is Redemption. If y'all have heard of any of the Redemption series, y'all know it's gonna come with a lot of value. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. This book, the Redemption book, really opened me up to all this information and made everything that I was learning from everybody make a lot more sense. So I know a lot of y'all gonna have breakthroughs right now. Give me a second. All right, let's get it. Okay, so like I said, there's messages that are very, very oblivious within both the Wizard of Oz and the Matrix movie. So I'm gonna break down, the whole context of the Wizard of Oz, and what really happened to America. So if y'all are ready to understand what's really going on with everything that all these individuals on YouTube, on social media are talking about, I'm gonna put it together in simple terms, showing you guys how the Wizard of Oz already showed you guys. So if you guys have watched the Wizard of Oz, I want y'all to drop in the chat box wizard emoji, or drop in the chat box wizard. Who's watched Wizard of Oz? I'm gonna break it down in a context in which you guys probably never have thought of. So let's get straight to it. Okay, I see a couple people have tuned in and watched it. I love it. So just as you read between the gory lines in the newspaper on any given day in America, you can discover clues and truths slipped in by the powers that be. If you look hard enough as to what is actually going on, such notice can be found in somewhat lighter fare. The movies. As you well know, movies have become the national pastime of entertainment. Millions go to movies. VHS tapes and DVDs fill in the rest of the gaps. The storylines, topics, and time frames vary as to manuscripts and the visions of the directors. Such a movie was The Wizard of Oz. All right, so I see a lot of people, tuned in here, have watched The Wizard of Oz. An allegory for the new state of affairs in America in the 1930s. So I've talked about this a lot with the Emergency Banking Act of 1933 and what took place with that on a lot of previous videos. So if you guys are not familiar with what I'm referring to, just go watch a couple of the past lives, specifically when I was talking about anything with the FCRA, because in the congressional findings, It talks about, undermining the public's confidence, which is why they had a week-long holiday in 1933 to reassure and gain confidence back in the people with the banking system. And this is going to make sense and tell you guys why. Because following the stock market crash in 1930 and the factual bankruptcy of the United States government immediately following, I also dropped in our mentorship the 5 crashes of the United States. The United States have been in 5 international bankruptcies, and in 1933 was their 5th international bankruptcy. And so this is why all of this came about, in which I'm about to cover right now. The Wizard of Oz movie is not just a movie for children, though perceived today it is, and it has become a national icon of a historical nature, replayed every year on television just for the children. What is missed by most is the symbolism in the movie and almost every character and aspects of the set and so-called special effects and props back then. After reading this article and then seeing the movie again, it will be the same to you or your children. It will never be the same again. The setting was Kansas, Heartland, America, the geographic center of the United States. In comes the twister, the tornado, whirling confusion of the stock market crash that left everybody economically, quote unquote, dizzy. It signified that the theft of the America's gold, also in 1933, they seized and they confiscated all gold from, consumers or, individuals within the USA. They confiscated all gold, right? It signified the theft of the United States of the America's gold, the coming U.S. bankruptcy, the Great Depression, the tornado whisked Dorothy, and a part of our Constitution, the only legal tender and real money, real currency. Everything else outside of gold is credit. Gold is the only real money, a part of our Constitution, our founding documents. So anything outside of that is a negotiable instrument, and it's a promissory note. It's a promise to pay. It's debt. And so how can you pay debt off with debt? And I talked about this in other videos, and that's why we're able to discharge debt, because we don't owe anything, and where they're getting the funds from in the first place, y'all will see here in a second. The tornado whisked Dorothy and Toto up into a new artificial dreamlike dimension, somewhere above the solid grounds of Kansas. When Dorothy awakes, she finds herself in the land of Oz. Dorothy comments to her little companion, Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore. All right, who remembers this part? If you guys remember this part, if you guys are, with me, understanding everything in which I'm mentioning this far, I want you guys to like this video right now, and I want you guys to send this to at least 3 to 5 people. Like I said, the more that the views go up, the more content I'm going to be giving to you guys. I've been getting, and we're reaching 2K. That's why today specifically, I'm about to be going live 2 times. We're about to hit 2K tomorrow alone. And how we're going to do so is by liking these videos, commenting, and sharing with 3 to 5 people. Because I guarantee you those people that watch this are going to share with another 3 to 5 people. Because if you guys understand this information, you guys understand that it can help other people as well too. So it'd be selfish of you not to share this information. In all honesty, my mentor told me if I got access to information and I'm not sharing it with other individuals, that's selfish of you. And so from there, I started sharing information, and I created the income in which is above, 80% of Americans. And this was at the age of 19 years old, just from sharing information. So let me see. Let's see. That's right. After the bankruptcy, Kansas was no longer just plain old Kansas. It was no longer KS, an artificial corporate venue of the bankrupt United States, newly established federal territory, part of the federal zone, and Dorothy and Toto were in this state now. So pay very close attention to this. This is why each state has their own statutory laws, because each state is their own corporate entity. Since 1933, since 1871, when the United States of America, when the United States Inc. became a corporation, that allowed every state to also incorporate themselves as the state of Arizona, the state of California, etc. So when you go into the state courts, that's why you see a different flag than, you'd see hanging in California, like the California Republic. But when you go into the courtroom, you won't see that California Republic flag, because yes, there is the California Republic, but incorporated within the Republic is the state of California, which is a corporation, which they're part of the United States Inc. On her journey in this unfamiliar land, Dorothy meets up with this three unusual characters, each having certainly a different problem or aspect as portrayed on the silver screen, but their true identity has been decoded and it follows. The first was the Scarecrow, a man of straw. So check this one out. A man of straw, and he identified his strawman persona for Dorothy. Some people without brains do an awful lot of talking. Of course, I'm not bright about doing things. And in his classical song, If I Only Had a Brain, the scarecrow slash strawman argued I'd unraveled every riddle for every individual in trouble or in pain. Today, in light of redemption, we would translate it as once. Once one discovers that his strawman exists, all political and legal mysteries, complexities, and confusions are resolved or understood. And once one takes legal title control to his strawman, this is why Taquan X, Brother Truth talk about, coming back to take control of your estate, to change your status from being legally, dead in their system to, taking back ownership of this estate, which was created at birth. Because if you guys, silence is admission. I always say that even with these creditors, if you guys don't respond to them, you guys are admitting to owing these debts in which you are not obligated to pay, and which is an allegation, an alleged obligation. But silence is admission. So if you don't come back and claim your estate, if you don't change your status in their system, you're dead, especially on the FS 181 form when you've identified yourself as already a dead corporate entity as well too, labeling yourself as black. Go look at the SF 181 form. Go look at the term Latino and Hispanic. There is no Latinadonia or Hispanadonia. There is no origins of these. There's no original people that originate from Hispanadonia. There's no such thing. And black is just some group of people that come from Africa. They're not any original people like it states about the American Indians or a Hawaiian, a Hawaiian islander or something that it says on the SF 181 form. But y'all got to understand that, from every document in which you guys in contract, you guys are contracting on the behalf of this corporation in which I'm referring to, not you, the natural person. That's why they need you guys to sign for this corporation, because the corporation can't speak for itself. So they have you guys speak on behalf of it. The first was a scarecrow, a man of straw, a front. Okay, I read that one. Okay. He becomes the authorized representative of the strawman to accept and discharge, settle all commercial affairs, just like I was referring to, as in the Oz, the new commercial world, aka the Matrix, because the strawman has no brains. Like I said, it can't speak for itself. The all caps name of you, your name in all caps on your ID, on your passport, on your birth certificate, it's a corporation and it can't speak for itself. It has no brains. This is in essence the Tin Men in the Wizard of Oz. It has no fingers to grasp a pen and write the check, so to speak, to pay fine, fee, tax, or debt. So why is it on your taxes from the IRS, it's your name in all caps? And why is it called a TIN number, a tax identification number? Why is it the Tin Man in the Wizard of Oz? The second character was the Tin Man. A TIN number is a 9-digit number. It's no different than a social. It's no different than an EIN number. That's why Taquan X talks about you could use an EIN number just like you can use a social security number. You can create a EIN number, a business, off of your name. So I've done this myself, Antonio Cuevas, and it's a whole new personal credit profile. Mine reported as a 98 number, which 98 numbers are more private numbers. So I got to generate a new EIN to go ahead and benefit from the credit purposes, because you can't do the 98 number as that's more private. But above all else, it's a TIN number. So the second character was a Tin Man, also identified as a taxpayer identification number. The Tin Man was a hollow man of metal, a vessel, a vehicle, a newly created commercial code. Word for the straw man, just like the scarecrow, the Tin Man had no brains and had no heart. They were both artificial persons. One of the definitions of tin in Webster's counterfeit. The Tin Man also represents the mechanical and heartless aspect of the commerce and commercial law. Just like they say in the mafia, nothing personal is just business. And in another profession similar to the mafia, the business of lawyering, they have the attitude that it's nothing personal, business is business. The heartless Tin Man also carried an axe, the traditional symbol for God. Modern commercial law and earlier dominant civilizations, including fascist states in the world of the Tin Man, expressed in relief after Dorothy had oiled his rusty points and parts. He said, I've held that axe up for the ages. The word ace is etymologically related to the word axe, and in the deck of cards, the only one above the king is the ace. One of the Axis powers of the World War II, Italy, was a fascist state. The symbol for fascism is the fasces, a bundle of rods with an axe bound up in the middle and its blade projecting. The fasces may be found on the reverse of the American Mercury head dime, and Roman deity Mercury was the god of commerce. It can also be found on the wall behind and on each side of the speaker's podium in the U.S. Senate. And at the base of the seal of the U.S. Senate are two crossed faces. So let's look up. I will look up a picture for you guys. U.S. Senate. Let's look up a picture. I'm going to show y'all on the tube. Peace to anybody joining in. If you guys are just joining in, we got 8 new people that just tuned in. Let's go ahead and like this video. Let's share it as well too with 3 to 5 people. Like I said, we're about to hit 2K. We're 60 subscribers out from 2K, so I know for a fact we can get that today with sharing this. I'm also about to go live later on today for my people out in Canada as well. So today specifically more is right now it's called only for people in the USA, and then later on tonight will be for my Canadian people. So let's show you guys an example of what it looks like. So boom, there's 1, there's 2. Again, right, we've all seen these on our dollar bills. We're all familiar, right? So this is what we're referring to right now. So the third character that Dorothy met was a cowardly lion or king of beasts, and as the most feared of all animals in the jungle was lacking courage. The lion is symbolic of the once fearless American people. And if you guys are just tuning in as well too, if you guys want access to this book, make sure you guys click the link in the bio and join our Telegram so you guys can get access to this book. It'll be in there, and our private Discord or our public Discord as well too. So the third character was a cowardly lion or king of beasts, and as most feared of all animals in the jungle was lacking courage. The lion is symbolic of the once fearless American people. So we were once fearless American people who have lost their courage. Yes, there's a lot of hot talkers out there. Just listen to your local radio talk shows. American men love to talk, but none have the courage to do a damn thing. That's a fact. The American people are scared of the corporate federal system and the local revenue collectors, i.e. cops and judges in their so-called courtrooms, tribunals of justice or commerce. That's why most people are so quick, not most people, everybody is so quick to go get an attorney or a lawyer to represent you when you are fully capable of presenting and speaking on the behalf of yourself, because you are a natural person and you've been given everything you need to, present yourself. So after your first few go-arounds with the Just Us system, believing there was justice in the courts, you probably lost some of your courage too, and you may have not known it, but the IRS has been dealing with only your strawman debtors strictly under the laws of commerce, and they are just like the Tin Man, heartless. So once again, they're not dealing with you, the natural person. They're dealing with the debtor name, and that's why in 18 U.S.C. 8 it talks about all obligations are of the United States. Your all caps name, the debtor name, is property of the United States because they're the ones who created it when they gave you the social security number. So from them creating that's their property. So obligations are of the United States to pay. It says any negotiable instrument, securities. Look up Title 18, USC 8. And that's why, when they pledged their 5th international bankruptcy, they stated that all obligations would be upon the United States to pay off the debts to whom? We the people. They're indebted to us, we the people, because how quick people do forget the money's worth that so many Americans were confiscated from their gold. So many people's money was locked up in the 1929s and 30s with the Great Depression. So many people lost faith in the banking system that they lost so much funds themselves. So that's why they always talk about the making sure that the public has confidence within the banking system. It talks about that in the congressional findings of the FCRA. Drop a three of y'all with me. Drop a three of y'all with me. So we talked about the debtor name. Now we know more about the debtor name. Now we know more about, when I'm referring to the term person and why we're able to wear two hats. We're able to act in 15 U.S.C. 1602, which is truth in lending. It defines the term person as a natural person or an organization. This is why it defines the term person as an organization as well too, because we have the ability to wear both hats. Know when in certain situations which hat to wear, the debtor hat or the natural person. So after Dorothy and her three companions made their way to Oz, they had learned that they had to go see the wizard to find the wizard. They had to just go follow the yellow brick road. Gold is known as the yellow bricks and are melted into ingots. All one has to do is follow the trail, the America's stolen gold. That's all you have to do, and you will find the thief who stole it. In the beginning of the movie of the wizard was represented by the traveling mystic, Professor Marvel, whom Dorothy encountered when she ran away with Toto. His Shringle tooted that he was acclaimed by the crowned heads of Europe, past, present, and future. Boy, that Professor Marvel must have been a regular wizard to be acclaimed by the future crowned heads of Europe before they were even crowned. Before the bankers stole America, they had long since disempowered the Christian monarchies of Europe and looted their kingdoms. Maybe this Professor Marvel fellow knew something about the future that other folks didn't. With the human skull peering down from his painted perch above the door inside the wagon, the good professor lectured Dorothy of the priests of Isis and Osiris and the days of the pharaohs of Egypt. Curious, does all of this apply to the new blockchain digital economic system coming? I'll get into that in a second. When Dorothy and her new friends emerged from the forest and they were elated to see the Emerald City before them, only a short jaunt away, then came the wicked witch of the West, desperate from the ruby slippers that Dorothy was wearing, as it held special powers. A significant point here is that in the original book, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, published in the 1900s, 39 years earlier, the slippers were not red, but they were silver. In the first cut of the movie, the slippers were silver, but were changed to red to be more colorful. At the time the book was written, America still had all of its gold and silver. The value of 1 ounce of gold was set at 15 ounces of silver. The value of 1 ounce of gold was set at 15 ounces of silver, with silver being the more plentiful of the two metals and generally known as the poor man's gold. Just as silver slips carried Dorothy, America's stockpile of silver and gold, backing the currency, carried the country to a position of the preeminence throughout the world at the time. But as mentioned, when the movie came out, this is why we were a dominant perennial powerhouse, because all we used was gold to back our currency. That's why Russia and all of them are gaining power now, because they're using and implementing gold within their currency system again. And that's why they partnered with Africa, because they got the most gold there. So yeah, it definitely is tying into the currency in which we're heading into now. And I definitely do think either whether we go to a digital currency or what type of currency we go back to, I definitely do think it'll be backed by gold, back once again, as Russia and the powerhouse that they're creating is kind of assembling with the ruby and all of that stuff, as far as just being backed by gold. And that's why we were always the perennial powerhouse until we got off the gold standard, and until the Federal Reserve and everything was created in 1911. And that's why everything in 1929 took place. The banking system collapsed, and we became and started owing and got bought out by Europe. And that's why Europe really owns, and the crown who owns Europe, the crown owns all of it in all reality. The Vatican, if you go to the Vatican, the Vatican owns all of this. They own all of your social security numbers. Out here in Canada, the SIN numbers, the Vatican, all that, they have all of that personal information, and they own all of that in the Vatican. All right, the crown, the queen, they own all of this. And that's why it's important and vital to create that EIN number, to operate, with trust, to not use anything within the corporate, game of commerce in which they've created for you, to where we can create our own communities. Once we create that 508c1a, we can have our own, private contract and then our own rules within our own land, especially once we get a patent on it as well, too. We have the patent of 508c1a. They can't mess with churches and stuff. That's why the Kardashians have set up so many churches. Not only can they not mess with them, they're tax exempt, so therefore you guys can funnel your funds within them and donate to your own church as well, too. With that being said, go look up, can you donate to your own 508c1a? Go look up, can you donate to your own nonprofit? Can you donate to your own church? I'm going to tell you yes every time. When Dorothy and her new friends, okay, let's see where we're at. At the time the book was written, America still had all of its gold and silver. The value, okay, I already read that one. Between 1916 and 1933, most of America's gold was rounded up by the privately owned Federal Reserve banks and shipped off to the Fed owners in England and Germany, just like I mentioned, whom England and Germany is owned by the crown. The reason for this was that the Federal Reserve notes could be redeemed in gold, and the use of the Federal Reserve notes carried an interest penalty that could only be paid in gold. The American people were defrauded into trading their gold for worthless paper with the green ink on it. Our previous currency, the United States notes, carried no such interest requirements, but such was the bargain that came with the Federal Reserve note. The reason JFK was murdered was because he was reissuing the United States notes interest-free. He was also, like I mentioned, this was all along the time and when the Consumer Protection Acts were being passed in the 1970s. So he was for the people. He was exposing the feds, and that's why the Fed came and got him and put up this whole fake attempt of murder of somebody else murdering him and whatnot. But if you know, you know, and if you follow the money, you know why JFK got assassinated, because he was, like they stated, issuing United States notes interest free. Because how can you put interest on a piece of nothing? That's like me giving you something that's coming from, or not even a piece of nothing. And the thing is, the notes are coming from us. So that's like me giving you something, and then since I gave you it, the thing that I gave you, you're putting interest on it to get it back. Makes no sense. Go to any coin store and see or buy a 1963 U.S. Not Federal Reserve note. Jeez, I would like to get that one. 1963. When the bankruptcy was declared in 1933, Americans were required, misdirected, to turn in all gold coins, gold bullion, and gold certificates by May 1st, known as May Day. All right, go look up May Day. The birthday of that's why in May as well too, the markets move, very fluent as well too. March and May, and then, May is, March, April, and May are like the best times in which the markets do move. March specifically, like there's a lot going on in the economy. March Madness, a lot of going on with just the Fed rates. And then May, because history repeats itself. And so you look at repeated years in May and March, the markets move most fluent then. And then like July, August, they move a lot more rational. And then October, November, they start picking up. December, they're the year is closing out, so it doesn't move as fluent. If you guys are date traders on here. Let me see. When the bankruptcy was declared in 1933, okay, known as May Day. The birthday of the communism in Bavaria in 1776. The birthday of the IRS and celebrated worldwide. Okay, so the birthday of the IRS is also in May 1st. A holy day to the wizard and his tribes. Talking to people who were alive at this time, you may find out that the general sentiment toward such thievery bordered on a second revolution. Maybe it was just too much of a clue or too much salt in the wound for Dorothy to be skipping down the yellow brick road in a pair of silver slippers. So, for whatever reason, a color less likely to annoy or provoke was selected, i.e., red. All right, we're almost done here, so stick with me. We're not going to read the Matrix one. If you guys want to read that one, I'm going to go ahead and drop that for you guys. Like I said, in our Telegram, in our Discord, so make sure you guys go check out the Telegram and Discord so you guys can go ahead and follow along with this whole reading. I'm going to stop stopping, and I'm going to just read through the rest of this as well, too. The color red could have been chosen for the related tie to the international banking Federal Reserve founders, the Rothschilds, i.e., the Red Shield family. It does signify private as opposed to public. Your new Social Security card has a red serial number on the reverse, signifying the private side bond account attached to the public side of your strawman Social Security account. For postal employees, red stickers registered mail means personal accountability, i.e., private. All other mail carries limited liability, public. It is likely that the red slippers symbolize the American people with the blood in their veins as opposed to the citizens of the United States. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Go back and watch this recording and really listen to what I'm stating within it. Straw men with the counterfeit corporate blood of blue/black ink on a birth certificate. No matter that their color in the movie, the Wicked Witch of the West wanted those slippers at any cost and had to move fast before Dorothy and her crew could make it to the Emerald City. The witch's tactic was to cover the countryside with poppy flowers or poppies, the source of heroin, opium, and morphine, and symbolism drugging them, the American people, i.e. what they've done, especially within, I am going to get off course right here, especially within the tribal American Indians and all of the reservations. If you look on them, what did they do? The witch's tactic was to cover the countryside with poppy flowers, i.e., aka heroin, opium, morphine, alcoholism, you name it. That's why if you go on the res, there's nothing but drunk Indians, because this was the plan to keep the genocide of these people, continuing and keep them in a low frequency and low vibration. And that's how they controlled them still to this day. Because if our people were in a state of mind and a clear mindset and, thought completely opposite of the system and whom got them in the place the first time, and even back when in 2020 when everything was going on, I don't want to get the channel flagged or anything, but for y'all that know, y'all know, even them, they were quick to get, everything the government was telling them to get. They were like, and it's sick to think, that specifically upon the indigenous people, they were pushing that upon them to get within them, knowing what it's going to do and alter. So very sickening on the mental illness in which they've caused from putting these things within our communities. That's another story, though. The poppy/drugs worked on Dorothy, the Lion, and Toto are flesh and blood friends, but had no Glinda, but had out for help. Cocaine, aka cocaine, a stimulant nullifying the narcotic effect. The poppies, opium on Dorothy, the Lion, and Toto. At this writing, aside from marijuana, the two most available drugs of the streets of America are heroin and cocaine in their various forms. As they are all scampered toward Emerald City, the city of the green, Federal Reserve notes, the new fiat money or money by decree, we heard the munchkins singing on the glory of the wizard's creation. You're out of the woods, you're out of the dark, you're out of the night. Step into the sun, step into the light. Keep straight ahead for the most glorious place on the face of the earth or the stars. The foregoing jingle abounds the illuminist Luciferian symbols and metaphors, darkness and light. The Wicked Witch of the West made her home in a round medieval watchtower, ancient symbol of the Knights Templar of Freemasonry, who are given to practicing witchcraft and also credited as the originators of the modern banking circa in 1099 AD. The Wicked Witch of the West was also dressed in black, the color symbolizing the planet Saturn, sacred icon of the Knights Templar and the color of the choice of judges and the priests for their robes. That's why if you go to courtroom judges, why do they wear black robes? This is exactly why. Who was the Wicked Witches of the West? Remember, in the first part of the film, her counterpart was Alirma Gulch, who, according to Aunt Elm, owned half the county. Ms. Gulch alleged that Dorothy's dog, you guys are coming in, make sure you guys are coming in and liking this video, sharing this with 3 to 5 people as well too, had bitten her. She came to the farm with an order from the sheriff demanding that they surrendered Toto to her custody. Aunt M was not immediately cooperative and answered her allegations that Toto had bitten her with. He's really gentle with gentle people, that is. Could gentle really mean Gentile? A Gentile? When Miss Gulch defied them to withhold Toto, go against the law, dear old Aunt M was relegated to pushing the party line for the big brother. Okay, let's see. All right, we got 2 more pages, family. Bear with me. Okay, let's see. Today, 70% of all attorneys in the world reside in the West, America, to be exact, and 90% of all lawsuits of the world are filed in the U.S. jurisdiction. Sheesh. 95% of all lawsuits in the world are filed under U.S. jurisdiction. Crazy. 70% of all attorneys in the world reside in the West. That's crazy as fuck. But yeah, y'all are so quick to go to an attorney. The Wicked Witch of the West, Miss Gulch, dear friend, represents judges and attorneys, the American legal system, including the attorney-run U.S. Congress. They are the executioners and primary henchmen for transferring all wealth in America from the people over to the banks and the government. Right, from the people over to the banks and the government. This is how the money gets transferred over to them. This is why they always want us to go to that courtroom. The Wicked Witch of the West wanted the silver slippers, the precious metals, and her counterpart, Miss Gulch, wanted to take Toto. What does the word Toto mean in attorney language, i.e. Latin, aka everything? Dorothy and her 3 companions finally made their way to Emerald City. They thought an audience before the wizard were taken inside and brought before the wizard, a gigantic image speaking in a loud voice behind glass. Similar to smoke and mirrors, Dorothy and the gang fell for the wizard's illusion and power commands in the beginning, but it was little to Toto, who in instinct pulled the curtain back to expose the fraud of the wizard, a frontman or the wizard, an agent for the fiction. This wizard the people feared, the wizard, this gigantic image speaking in a loud voice behind glass, could very well symbolize, with advent of television, the power of government speaking lies before the people via TV. Because if the people saw it on TV, it must be true. And of course, the people will believe their government, won't they? Remember the drugs? But Dorothy and the others soon wised up and revealed the wizard for who he was, a confident man. Then, when asking the agent, administrative agencies, so the agent is the administrative agencies, without helping the scarecrow / strawman about getting a brain, he gave the strawman a piece of paper and a diploma from a university. The wizards are cited the land of, which is Latin for one of many, i.e. converting the many into the New World Order. Let's see. I'm not trying to read all of this. The $1 bill shortly after the bankruptcy, he was also proudly revealed / confessed that he was born and bred in the heart of the western wilderness, an old Kansas man thyself. He gave the Tin Man a ticker, a clock, to sound like a heart, but it was not. And to the lion he gave a medal, to signify the lion had courage. These all, of course, were trinkets in the land of Oz, a fictional world, of course. So we got to understand, like, everything in which we're operating is a fictional world. It's all commerce, so it's all fictitious. The language that they're using, the verbiage that they're using within the courtrooms, the whole courtroom itself, going into any state courtroom. That's why they're wearing the black robes, right? It's a fictional world, right? These are the witches in which they're referring to in The Wizard of Oz. The bankers did well in Europe, but as the wizard pointed out, they made a killing in the western wilderness, i.e. America, with the theft of the American gold, labor, and quoting. John D. Rockefeller, grateful and responsible rural folk who populated the country at the time, When Dorothy asked Glenda, the good witch of the North, representing honesty, good faith, and Christianity, for help in the getting back to Kansas, Glenda replied, You don't need to be helped. You've always helped the power go back to Kansas. Just click your heels together 3 times, 3 days, and this is in Truth in Lending. All right, just click your heels together 3 times, 3 days. Look at 15 USC 1635. Why did it talk about 3 days that you have the right to rescind? There is no place like home. But you also have longer than 3 days if you keep reading through it. But right away, initially they'll tell you the 3 days. Translation: You've always had the right and power to reclaim your sovereignty. You just forgot or were never taught that you or the American people have such power. The Oregon Bill of Rights says the people have all power. Since the people are the true sovereign power, then it is only necessary to wake to wake from the dumbed down, drugged like effect powers that be have over you, the American people, as so that the power and position can exercise it. The factual reclaiming of your sovereignty, the remedies in today's bank commercial world, is a process including I'm not going to state the process because I want y'all to go learn for self. If y'all want to learn this process specifically on, doing such, and whom I got this book from specifically is Yusuf L. I always give credit where it's due. He's somebody whom I've learned tremendously from. So go look up High Frequency Radio. And he's the realest doing this whole secure party creditor process. So the form in which they're referring to right here, in which I'm not going to mention on my channel because I don't want y'all hitting me up specifically for it, because that's not something in which I teach nor cover. It is something that I'm going through myself and getting done. So I'm still in the midst in the process of it. I was going through and setting up other things as well too. So I'm not going to mention that account, but if you know, you know. Americans have intimate first-hand knowledge of the heartless mechanics of the laws of commerce religiously applied by the example of the unregistered foreign agents of the IRS. The IRS was constituted under the UCC at its inception in 1954 and has been operating strictly in that realm ever since. And as a side note, how was the Wicked Witch destroyed? By accident. A bucket of water. The true substance of all things, good and healthy, simply water, H2O, destroyed the evil. Just like the O in the ozone destroyed virus and bacteria, cancer, did the oxygen in the water destroy the evil witch. You may wonder, what was the meaning behind the words in the title, The Wizard of Oz? Look up in the dictionary. Like almost everything, it is right out there in the open for you to see if you will just look closely enough. One definition of the wizard is a very clever or skillful person. The term Oz is an abbreviation of onza. Onza, the Italian word for ounce or ounces, the unit of measurement of gold, silver, and other precious metals. No matter how large the quantity of gold or silver being discussed, the amount is always expressed in ounces rather than hundreds of tons of gold. So many millions of ounces of gold, as attested by the factual history of this country. The Wizard of Oz was the wizard of ounces. And who took the gold that backed the Americans' money? Why the bankers and lawyers working for the foreign principals and private Federal Reserves, being mostly private bankers, all orchestrated and greased by politicians, then still today, only because it's not in the mindset of politicians today to correct the matter and put full absolute power over the control, creation, minting, and putting into circulation the United States money, backed by gold, substance, and value. What everyone has to understand is that the things are today, the commercial system as the place is for everyone. Just as long as everyone understands the program, maybe the Wizard of Oz back then was the introduction to the program as to the monetary condition and the changes in America. It just appears that no one told or gave disclosure to the American people, not only to the change, but how to operate in this new commercial world where the real value was removed and all was put into a place of a commercial paper, i.e. the promissory note, i.e. the Federal Reserve note that we call cash. And that's why if you listen to actual wealthy people like Grant Cardone, he always says cash is trash, cash is trash. If you listen to Robert Kiyosaki, cash is trash, cash is trash, cash is absolute. That's why and that's why it's so cool, quote unquote, as a drug dealer to flex all of this money. It's debt in which you're flexing. You're flexing fake money. You're flexing monopoly money. And so that's why y'all will never see me flexing money or anything as such. And that's why y'all will only see me wearing gold, diamonds. I mean, no diamonds ever. Gold and crystals. That's what I meant to state. Gold and crystals and copper. Because those are, i.e., real precious metals that will always hold value. Diamonds itself don't even hold value. We, the people, give it the value. There's only a couple families that own all of the diamond supply and fields throughout this world, and there's so much in which they have. There's abundance amounts of diamonds. Gold, not so much. Gold is always going to be of value, and you could actually use gold for actual things, electricity, so much more. I mean, mercury creates gold, and that's why the Egyptians used gold. It helped, electricity flow. It's an electricity conductor, and that's why they were able to do the things they were able to do thousands of years ago. It's from gold. What everyone has to understand is that things are today, the commercial system as the place is better for everyone. Just as long as everyone understands the program. Okay, I just read this. So, okay. Everything worked out for Dorothy, the American people, in the end. She made it home, meaning there is remedy in law. So there is remedy in everything that I'm referring to. So that's why I talk about in each subchapter, you guys can get remedy within that subchapter specifically. So she did make it home. It was just encoded and disguised and camouflaged. So it's in plain sight. It's out there. It's public information. Everything and anything I teach and show you guys you guys can all Google. Title 15, Title 18 is all public information that we all have access to. You guys can all go read the Constitution. We all got ability to read the Constitution, the founding documents of the Republic. Right? But that doesn't mean that everybody will. And once again, there is remedy in law. There's no place like home, and there's nothing like sovereignty for a sovereign people. We have commercial remedy in the redemption process. Will you continue to be coned by the confidence men and believe their wizard words coming out from that box of smoke and mirrors called the TV? Or will you rise up like Dorothy did and look behind the scenes to recognize the scheme? Will you rise above the occasions and obtain the knowledge to become a secured party creditor? If such, go to SBC University. My guy used to fail, high frequency radio, and he will get you right. Private banker and sovereign to take your place among who you are above the government instead of being the debtor slave on the plantation, living your life in debt and servitude. It is your choice. Dorothy did it a long time ago to show the American people and maybe the children the way and how to do it. That is, and how it can be done. Now go rent. So in essence, y'all can call Credit Gotti Dorothy. I'm showing y'all how to come home. So if y'all want to come home, go study the information, go study the material, go share the information, go share the material. Because I promise you guys, like I promised you guys, about 10 days ago, I'd be over delivering on value more than anybody has within the past 10 days and 20 more to come, 30 days all together. Every day, going to be providing value for you guys. So if you guys are liking it, make sure you guys are liking the video. Make sure you guys are sharing this with some people as well too. And now go rent or go buy the movie and go watch it again with your eyes wide open this time. I appreciate you all. I love you all. Let's share this video. Credit Gotti's out though. Peace and love.